So I wanted to provide a commentary from my previous video where I showed refurbished Windows 10 versus a refurbished Windows XP, where not only did Windows XP refurbished beat Windows 10, but the Windows 10 computer that you see of mine also had all of the default programs disabled, all of the the little apps disabled, and it still took several more minutes to start up compared to Windows XP. And the Windows XP version you were seeing had all of the default programs still in it, nothing was disabled, and there's pretty much compared to both, there's no reason why Windows 10 should be taking so long to start up with all the programs. And of course, some people argue, of course, that the older versions do start up more because of all those less programs, like I mentioned, and a lot less the device can do for Windows XP and Windows Vista and Windows 7. But you still do all those sorts of things on those computers if you turn off some additional programs on those as well, and you could just get the same quality out of those types of computers that you would with Windows 10. So not only was Windows 10 slow, I've seen so many programs that were so default I would never use, or I don't think anybody would use in their lifetime, considering that a lot of them are junk programs and offer too many backdoors into ways other people could get into your computer, especially with recently with all the hacks that have been going around with in the defaults of Windows 10, and with all the different companies, like including Apple, slowing down their products, and of course Windows would probably be slowing down a lot of their products too with some of their updates. And I've noticed a lot of the updates after a certain point make the computer work harder, and it makes it act a little awkward. And a lot of people, they see all the things about the security updates about being discontinued about with the older models. Well, that's only for certain things, like depending on what you use your computer for, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're just using to browse, like say you're one of the people who browse Facebook and you play occasional games and you're not onto like porn websites or anything suspicious of of getting viruses and stuff like that, then as long as you're not on those type of things, you should be fine. Like, unless you're on one of them trusted ones and you have all the default or the extra security settings within your browser, because there's tons of different things you can do with your browser, whether it be Firefox, whether it be Torch or Chrome, to add additional settings and turn different things off, especially whenever within the browser itself, and make everything run a lot smoother. And to make sure that you have that setting turned on, especially for Firefox, so when you visit a new site that you are not used to, and if it shows that red box that says, the security that's going to get you out of there, they won't let you go to that page unless you click this little box down below to bypass that, just to stay off them sites, because there's something malicious on that web page. So when you get a computer refurbished, say Windows XP or Windows 7, what I have found, especially with Windows 7, is if you turn off the virus removal program and stuff like that, a lot of those issues go away that cause those PCs to be sluggish. And if it wasn't for just my Windows 7 finally giving out after all the years of having it and of using it to create thousands of videos, projects and stuff like that, and I hardly ever got viruses, and even when I did, all I had to do was factory default or whatever if it was that bad, but usually it was never that bad. It was something that was easily removed, and there was no problems with the PC whatsoever, other than some of the components actually finally giving out, because ports were going out on it and that sort of thing. So there's no reason why you can't use Windows 7 and stuff like that. There's security updates for Microsoft and all that are bullshit. You can just keep your computer reverted to a certain setting and turn off those updates, like I did whenever I had my PC for Windows 7, now that I'm upgraded to Windows 10 with that example that you see versus Jerry's computers. So even a lot of those default programs of turning off, and there's so many hidden things in Windows 10, like if it wasn't for a lot of the DIY people out there with the tutorials on how to speed up the PC and turn off default stuff that you don't need, or clunky, I wouldn't have known about them, because there's 4 or 5 different settings and ways to get into them, and some of them were kind of hidden to turn those off. And a lot of them, especially with the news about ad trackers being placed in a lot of the apps, what else are they doing with those ad trackers? If they're already on your computer, if you didn't look up the information when you first got your PC home and you got the default set up, and if you've let amount of time go away past without changing anything, how much of your information is already out there being stolen, used for credit cards, especially on the dark web with everything, where all millions of Americans got all their information stolen and it's practically out there for being sold unless you have one of them credit management things that they show on TV for commercials to monitor all that stuff. So, and a lot of people still don't even do that, especially if if somebody is not financially stable enough to be able to afford the type of thing. How many of them are their information being stolen? It doesn't matter if it's $5, $10, $20. Not everybody's after a whole lot of money. So a lot of that information that is stolen is just for like banks and stuff like that, where you get out loans and purchase things like a rental car in their name and stuff like that. Especially now that with everybody having to update the chips for their cards, for banking cards, to help combat all that type of theft. So if I were you and you're just looking for a computer, you're not doing all that Xbox stuff, and you're not into all that extra trendy technology type of things, and you're just looking to do some browsing and watch videos and not into Xbox gaming or PS3 or any of that, or broadcasting, then there's no reason why you couldn't get a Windows 7 or Windows XP computer to use and continue to use especially whenever there's government spy programs on Windows 10, and they allow you to practically the back door into everything. So instead of having Big Brother look over your shoulder, I'd stick it with the older stuff and apply additional encryption to your computer and make sure a lot of the BS programs are shut off, and always look for additional information to look for to make sure that you have everything turned off that you need turned off, especially like JavaScript and only allowing certain extensions to run within a browser. Make sure you check all those. So I would just suggest to look for tutorials for those. I won't explain it in this video for that, since there's so many of them. Great tutorials out there to shut off a lot of different things that don't need to be running, especially like fax. There's like all this different phone stuff that's in Windows 10 that you don't need. Radio, Skype. I don't use Skype because nobody cares about me enough to even use that type of thing. And I can't remember what else. There's some stupid there's some kind of paint program that it had, which was garbage. It was like worse than the Windows 7 version. It was like they weren't even trying. They just stuck it in there like, here's some programs. We'll make it look cool and trendy for you. Look at this crap you're getting all with your computer. Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to give a little bit of commentary about with the Windows XP versus Windows 10. And if you're within the state of Pennsylvania, what area of my location, with on the website, in the description with the Facebook group. If you're in the area, you can purchase a computer there at Jerry's Computers. And unfortunately, there is no shipping, so you'd have to be local to go to the store to buy as of now. But it may change in the future. All depends. Since now I am just a temporary associate for now. All depends what the future will hold for that. But yeah.